President Trump is claiming that he knows nothing about the billionaire crypto convict that he pardoned less than 2 weeks ago. Chengpeng Zhao, also known as CZ, pleaded guilty to money laundering 2 years ago. His company, Binance, helped the Trump empire get even richer. But here's what Trump had to say about him yesterday.
Why did you pardon him?
Okay, are you ready? I don't know who he is. I know he got a 4-month sentence or something like that, and I heard it was a Biden witch hunt. Well, here's the thing. I know nothing about it because I'm too busy doing the other.
But
I
he
can
got a
only
pardon.
tell you that.
But he got a
No,
pardon.
I can only tell you this. My sons are into it. I'm glad they are because it's probably a great industry, crypto.
It's an interesting claim coming from Trump because his own Justice Department and the House Oversight Committee, they are currently investigating whether former President Biden knew who he was pardoning toward the end of his presidency. And for Trump to now turn around and say, well, I simply don't know anything about this, but I signed a pardon. Did
No,
he sign
isn't
a
the
pardon?
question whether he knows he pardoned anyone, whether President Biden even knew? That's the question.
No,
Was it because
the question
the
to Trump or
paper
the question about
to
Biden?
President Biden? The question is, so President Trump knew that he pardoned someone. I'm sure at the time he knew what
Did
it
he know who
was,
he pardoned?
but I'm sure at the time that he did. Our question is,
said he doesn't
did
know anything
Joe
about
Biden
it.
even know he was pardoning anyone? And because the paper trail so lax, like there's not the proof there that
But hold
needs
on.
to be
I don't
needs to be
understand.
done.
How do we jump to the conclusion that Joe Biden didn't know who he pardoned?
Because
when
Jake
Donald
Tapper
Trump-
wrote a book about how out of
Hold on.
it that he was.
Okay, again, I'm going to ask. How do we jump to the conclusion that Joe Biden did not know who he pardoned, any of the people he pardoned, when Trump is literally on camera saying directly to a reporter, I don't know anything about
Well, I
this.
think I answered that question, but here's one piece that we do need to really think
but
about.
I don't
The
understand.
price
What evidence do
process
we-
is so
Hold on.
lax in these
What
pardons.
do we-
There's a lot of money, and President Biden's pardoned 4,200 people, and an average president does 300-400 in his tenure. Who were all these people? This is big business. The dirty secret is pardons are big business in Washington.
Okay, yeah,
They
I
absolutely
I
are.
actually agree with you.
And
on
we
that.
need to do a better job
But
of knowing
let's not
who and
forget
why.
that Donald Trump signed blanket pardons for over 1,000 January 6th rioters, including people convicted of violent crimes. He did that. And then also in this particular case, you just mentioned the money involved, because there is money involved. Binance hired people to lobby Trump while they are also in business with Trump's family to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Reuters just reported a couple of days ago the president and his family raked in more than $800 million from sales of crypto assets in the first half of 2025 alone. Okay? That is literally a business that Trump is in with this guy who they just executed a pardon for. And then Trump says, I don't know anything about it, and that's okay.
Well, I think a few things could be true. One, I don't doubt one bit that President Trump isn't acquainted with the finer points of the crypto industry. I believe that. Number two, it's also true that presidents most often don't personally know the people that they're pardoning. And number three, Penny's right. People do pardon administrations lobby administrations for pardons often. I think that's probably what happened in this case. And I think there's probably a group of advisors who heard the plea and recommended it to the president.
So again, Trump says he doesn't know anything about it. This wasn't like a blanket pardon that was sent out to a bunch of people. It was one man on one day, lovely day in October, okay? One man, right? So you're telling me that Trump has no idea that he pardoned perhaps one of the most prominent people to ever be convicted in crypto, a business that his family is deeply embedded in. Again, you want us to believe that that is not something that he would know or understand.
No, I don't want
And
you
that
to,
if he didn't know and understand it, that would be okay with you.
I don't want you to believe anything, and I'm certainly not acquainted with all the details of it. I'm just telling you that I believe that the president probably doesn't personally know this person. I also believe
I
that
didn't ask if he
I
personally
also
knew.
believe that the president
asked if
probably
he
lobbied
knew.
about this, and I believe that a group of advisors probably
Do
told
you
him that
think that he knows
he was
that his family?
over-prosecuted by Biden.
Do you
I
think
all
he
those
knows that
things
his
are true.
family is in business with his company?
I think he probably knows his family.
And you think that's okay? Do you think that's okay?
He got a recommendation.
Do you think that it's okay that he pardoned somebody that his family is right at this very moment in business with, and who shortly after that pardon sent out a message promoting the Trump family crypto business. You're okay with that?
No, it's totally above board, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, by the way,
Obviously, there's nothing to
by the
see
way,
here,
first of all,
guys.
A for effort. I mean, I want to let you both know. I mean, look, this was great. Nora O'Donnell was like asking a tough question, right? She was like, "Hey, so there's this guy. He goes by CZ. You know, he's a national security risk, and he was like, you know, moving money for Hamas." And you gave him a pardon, and Trump was like pretending like he was with his best friend. He's like, "Hey, listen to this. I don't even know the guy. I know nothing about it." I mean, somewhere, you know, obviously James Comer, my dear friend, spent millions of dollars on this AutoPen thing, is crying. When the speaker was asked this question, he looked like his IBS started to kick in front of the TV cameras. No, this undermines their entire message about Joe Biden, the AutoPen, and not knowing pardons. And do you know the one thing we don't have about Joe Biden? We don't have him on camera being asked a question. Do you know about this pardon? And Joe Biden going, no,
but
know
we've
nothing
got
about
on
it.
camera
we got,
saying
we got,
anything
we got
for
Trump.
sure.
We got Trump right there for the American people to see. Trump going, no, don't know this guy, Sal. Don't know anything about it.
It's true. You don't have Joe Biden on camera about much of anything the last 3 months.
Or
That's
even who
what-
he was at that point. So, no.
Look, let me.
Yeah, the nice
you
thing,
you made the point about Mike Johnson, because this has become a common refrain. He's asked about something that Trump says. It's all over the news, and apparently news doesn't get to Capitol Hill. Listen.
We're shut down.
I don't know anything about that. I didn't see the interview. You have to ask the president about that. I don't know any of the details of that yet. I just heard about that literally. I was walking in. I don't know the details about that. I've just read it. I didn't talk with him about that. I don't know the latest developments. That's first I've heard of that. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what you're talking about with the children. I haven't seen that, so I'm not going to comment on it.
I don't know. It just kind of undermines the idea that you know, that there's some righteous indignation about the wrongdoings of your political opponents. When any time that your guy's doing something that is questionable, it's like, oh, just haven't heard about it.
Oh, that goes both ways.
I'm
By the
sure.
way.
Yeah. By the way, it sure does.
We just came out of that, watching that
But
whole
again,
show.
like, the whole premise here is that this was so bad under Biden that it was. I mean, if they could have impeached him over it, they would have. They want to undo his presidential actions over this, and now Trump says, "I don't even know who you're talking about," and you know, Mike Johnson says, "Well, sorry, I just haven't heard about it."
I don't know. I don't know anything about
Well, there you go. I mean,
I don't know. I think it certainly does undermine and undercut the president's arguments and certainly his outbursts that we see on social media about the criminal family and these people who knew what, who did this. But I think the bigger question is that the president has repeatedly indicated that he is involved in these various kind of questionable endeavors. And sometimes he admits to it, sometimes he's very open about it, and other times he says things like, I don't know, I don't really know about crypto. I don't know if that's supposed to be plausible deniability or if it's something else entirely. But as we continue to see, and I think CNN has done really excellent reporting on this, as the president has continued on, these are questions that are becoming bigger and bigger. And part of what the president has done, and part of, I think, what Republicans in Congress have done too, is they've undermined their own argument, because these are the same questions that they asked of the Biden administration, of Joe Biden's family. So now, I think it's only fair that you ask the same questions about the Trumps, about their endeavors, about their interests, about what's going on in terms of lobbying. And in essence, the president has set himself up for those very questions.
well, I think one of the main questions left for the White House to answer is whether Trump did sign this pardon. He doesn't know anything about it. Was it a signature or was it AutoPen? I think James Comer would like to know, and so would we. Coming up next, the president is warning another nation that the U.S.